Where do I begin? Where do I bloody begin? I begin by trying to get somewhat centre. So, I'm bounding all three of the WWE stuff together here. One, because there ain't going to be any indie stuff. I've got to catch up with that. To be honest, it'll probably be just a catch-up episode, because if we are going back into podcasts in the next few weeks, it helps to fill it out with results for at least 1 week, and then what's coming up that weekend. So it gives me a backlog of stuff to do in a video anyway. But yeah, I separated it off because, of course, the WWE was in the UK for tapings this week, and to be honest, big stuff on all three shows. Some bigger than others, but... So, Raw began with a nice little message in remembrance of the victims of the Sutherland Spring shooting, which was a nice little nod, which obviously wasn't included on the actual taping when it happened, because I guess it wouldn't have that much relevance for a UK crowd. But, you know, it made sense to, certainly. So, Miz TV, with Angle, you could tell some of the bits were clearly redubbed in or re-recorded, because they were either ironic cheers or the sound quality was different. Mrs. reply back to Corbin's tweet promos, which apparently he can't be bothered to do on TV, was pretty good. And then with the Angle stuff, rightfully, he's sort of like bringing up how, you know, Angle failed in terms of trusting Shane, and therefore he got punished by getting the spot in the Raw Survivor Series team. And Angle really writes... Angle said, well, SmackDown will always be the B show. Which is like... It might sound harsh, but there's a reason why they're doing a 25th anniversary thing, and why they keep saying it's the longest running weekly episodic content or whatever. It sort of fits. Then talks about how clearly he's never apologized to Daniel Bryan for what happened with Kane last week. And then Strowman's attack on his IC champ getting rewarded with a spot in the team, and Angle's retort being the only reason he's in the team is because he wanted a match against you, which is happening tonight. And rightfully, Miz is sort of like begging, like, please, no. Please, please. Then the guitar and a pole match. Who knows? It sort of was a match. The one thing I like the touch is because Elias was, what song should I sing, considering I can't sing with my guitar because it's on the pole. And the fans were chanting a lot of things. They weren't chanting Wonderwall. I think they were trying to get them to chant Wonderwall because they were hoping that they read all the dirt sheets and everything. Because on one of the house shows, Elias with Gallows and Anderson did a parody version of Wonderwall. That never happened. The great thing is Jordan managed to... it's interesting. It's a guitar on a pole match, so whoever could... Normally with that, it's like whoever gets it off the thing is legally allowed to use it, the other person isn't. Well, Elias got it down and kept missing, and then Jordan got it and smacked him with the guitar over the back. Not the head. Impact, not the head. And the great thing is the crowd booed, because I think they had no problem with it being American Alpha. And the fact that now he's Kurt Angle's kid. We'll get to that. Then the Bar getting the final shot, or their final opportunity at getting the tag titles back. Then Asuka beating Stacey Coates in about 80 seconds. Apparently she's Scottish and has been trained by Aleister Black. So she knows quite a bit. But Asuka won, and then Admiral Fox showed up and said, "You're on the team." Then they were sort of getting ready for Titus versus Samoa Joe, but Joe basically destroyed Titus in the ring entrance, and took them both out and says, don't matter whoever you are, I'm putting you down. If anybody thinks they can prove otherwise, fine. And then Finn came out, and they had a good little fight for what it was, even though it was only 15 minutes. Basically, they were doing all the spots, and they both got counted out with some, after basically brawling away outside the ring. And security couldn't break them apart, referees couldn't. And then Angle said, the gut and determination you're showing here is what I want on my team. You're both in. And then Balor was like going backstage, and so he just jumped off the stage with a tope. It was like nice little spot. So then Miz and Miz Taraj are talking about the Strowman situation. And Dallas was like, sort of back being the moto bow, if you want to be that, the motivational bow, and he's like, Halloween's over and the monsters are gone. No. There's always monsters, obviously. And I did like the fact that Axel was just like, we should just get out now. And Miz is just like, it's not the point, son. So Angle was trying to get in contact with Daniel Bryan, but didn't get an answer, so he basically left a message. And then Jason Jordan came in, and Kurt says, "I want you in my team." Right. That's all I have to say. Right. Then Bayley and Sasha Banks were talking about how they should be on Team Raw and the women's thing. So they took on Nia Jax and Alicia Fox. With Sasha making Alicia tap out to the bank statement. And afterwards saying, Fox saying that she needed Sasha on her team. And Bayley's just like, well, what about me? And Sasha was just like, well, at least I'm on. It's like, who's the heel turn there? It's hard to tell. The great thing is, though, the crowd were completely singing for Bayley all the way through the show. Part of me feels that that's the UK being the UK, but also apparently we're the last bastions of the people that actually like her. So then we had Strowman and Miz, which wasn't too bad, but then of course, and this to me was, I feel, awkward. There was a giant explosion, sound, and then here came Kane. I get it, you're trying to reflect the fact that Kane is here and it's his new music and everything. Keep in mind, this is the arena that was bombed, 6 months ago? And hearing the sound on the videos from the people that were, like, inside the concert and leaving the thing, the sound was a bit too similar. That's my only sort of gripe with that situation. I know why they did it, because it's Kane, but it's just, like, awkward. Because I think if I was there, I'd have slightly panicked. Because what if that actually coincided with something? That'd be awkward. I don't think it would, because I think they've really got the safety up to a, ridiculously high level now after that happening. Which is good, but part of me just felt it was a bit, ugh. And Strowman and Kane had a little fight and everything. And then the great thing is Kane took out Strowman. And then Miz Taraj were all over Strowman, got destroyed, and Miz got a running power slam and whatever, so there you go. Then the interview with the Shield with Renee. The only reason I'm bringing this up, because the end of the thing. So Rollins is like saying, they might say that they're the bar, but the Shield is the bar ever since we came in. And they do the fist pose together. And they leave. And then randomly Renee's just like smirking away going, yeah! Like, what? You could tell the way she was doing it. It was like, she doesn't want to. So Enzo's cutting a heel promo, but they're cheering for him. Because the Enzo Amore song is a sort of football style chant. And he just randomly is talking about stuff, and Callisto shows up. Except doesn't get in the ring, he goes by ringside. And then Pete Dunne's Titantron plays. And then Angle comes out and says, I think the Cruiserweight should face the Bruiserweight. Ladies and gentlemen, making his debut on Monday Night Raw, the WWE UK champ Pete Dunne. And Pete then showed up. They did that all wrong. What it needed was Kurt's music. And then to go, how about the Cruiserweight faces the Bruiserweight? I think then you'd have had the right sort of response, and then you played the graphic. Rather than the way they did it. It sort of ruined it for him, which is a shame. The other shame is the fact that Enzo actually lost and Pete Dunne beat him. So, Fair play to Pete. Good on him. Then Alexa Bliss was saying how she's going to win the champion versus champion match against Natalya. And it's like, you know, she's a 2-time Raw Women's Champ and a 2-time SmackDown Women's Champ. And what does 2 + 2 equal? And Charlie goes 4 and Bliss goes, nope. 1 goddess. And the crowd cheered because it's a shame that that was Alexa's only contribution on the show. Probably because she was doing title matches at every other house show. Then the boos rang out because Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman are going to be in Atlanta next week on Raw. And Roman Reigns. Which means something. So, it's worth noting that the bar came out in... It was never really addressed. The bar coming out in Liverpool football soccer kit. Who are deep rivals with Manchester United, I would say. And it was a really, really good match. And then Big E started saying, Manchester, don't you dare be sour. Clap for your champs, feel the power. And New Day showed up through the crowd, sort of Shield style, and said, there's an Under Siege 2, everybody. And I'm going, wait, is this one on a boat or a train? Are we going by the canon of Steven Seagal? So when this happened, everybody, the 4 guys were either in the ring or at the ringside area just looking. And immediately, angles backstage are like, everybody get out, and men and women all showed up to ringside massively, and New Day just like booked it. And while that was happening, Rollins turned around, Sheamus hit him with a brogue kick, gets the 3 count, the bar and new and once again new Raw Tag Team Champs. And why did the match go like that? Seriously. Great match. Stupid finish. Really stupid. I mean, really stupid. So then we move on 24 hours later to Downsmack, which wasn't live, so why they kept saying it was SmackDown Live, bollocks. So Shane came out and said, you know, Stephanie and Kurt are responsible for what happened to Daniel, and they sent Kane after him, and you know, he's going to get revenge on Raw himself because he's going to be part of the Survivor Series team. And apparently Daniel's going to be back next week. And then brought out New Day for what they did, and Shane was dancing with him because of course, and then Sammy and Kevin come out, and you know, Owen says, look, clearly Shane's got daddy issues, and Zayn says, me and Kevin could have taken out Raw by ourselves. We're men of honor. Men of honor. We're being set up to fail, and complained about, you know, having to even qualify to represent SmackDown, but Shane says, well, you both lost. And Owen's just like, well, if we danced around like New Day, would we get places? And they sort of get into a thing, so Kofi and Sami Zayn were put into a match by Shane. And then the interesting stuff. Because basically Zayn was about to win and whatever, and then Kingston was about to do something, but Owen sort of jumped in to break the cover, but I guess missed it and whatever, and sort of they were looking to sort of do something, but instead Sami and Kevin just walked up the ramp. According to the rumours, this was something that was off the script and shouldn't have happened. There's some belief that it's them dissatisfied with some of the stuff that's been going down, what with Neville and Jimmy Jacobs and various other things as well. Part of me thinks that might be a bit of a work, possibly, because obviously they're trying to play into the fact that nobody likes them, and it sort of does help that situation, but I don't know. It was an okay match for what it was. The finish was sort of, I mean, who knows? We'll find out more. Well, probably not, actually. And, then, Jinder cut his promo about his title match, and then the Bludgeon Brothers. You know, the world is a horrible place, and we're here to make it worse. No cage can contain us, no asylum can understand us. And when we're done, humanity will swell over. And then they smashed the ground with hammers, because as if they didn't look stupid enough already. And then we had Orton and Rusev. The confusing thing is, this was Rusev's qualifier to get in the team, which to me was like, that's a bit confusing. Because Randy Orton's already in. The fans were massively over for Rusev, as you'd expect. Also, it's worth noting that they had various shots throughout it with Rude, McMahon and Nakamura watching backstage. Oh yeah, by the way, no Nakamura on this show. That's his only sighting. Ching! The guys that people want to see. Yeah, don't put them out. Orton won with an RKO from out of nowhere, of course. Then there was the Ellsworth Becky Lynch thing, and you know, it's called Manchester, not Womanchester, and I'm like, who's giving you these lines, James? Seriously. The thing that is worth noting, though, is this is the first intergender match in years in WWE. Lynch won either way with the disarmer, and then afterwards Carmella helped him up and stared down Becky Lynch, super kicked Ellsworth and left, and the crowd were like, yeah, screw you. I think that everybody don't give a shit about Ellsworth now. Oh dear. Then Natalya said, not only am I going to beat Alexa Bliss in the Champion versus Champions place, but I want to take Charlotte's place on Team SmackDown. So Shane went, well, you barely escaped Hell in a Cell with your belt, so I think it's only fair that we do a title match. And whoever wins faces Bliss at Survivor Series. And Natalya's like, how many chances is she going to get? And part of me is feeling that they're going to be having Charlotte could possibly win, I would say. because Charlotte being the champ in the cage for the Starcade thing probably would make sense. Also, Charlotte versus Alexa is very tempting because we never saw it because they both flipped brands. Sort of like something else we'll get to. So then we had the interesting situation. So it was Gable and Benjamin versus the Usos for the titles, and you know, the Usos said that their opponents were American Alpha 2.0, and the Usos attacked them. So what happened here is Chad sort of came from under the ring and gave one of the Usos sort of the chop block with a stiff arm on the outside, and then, you know, went under the ring and everything. But if you look at the way it happened, it sort of looks as it seems unclear whether one of the Usos is actually injured or not. I'm not sure. Apparently, and this was brought up by the announcers, this was sort of a re-emergence of the Usos taking out Gable in a similar manner last year, which I think was the one that put him on the shelf for so long, injured and out of action. So I'm not sure. Then they had a advert thing for Damnation, some USA show that Luke Harper's in, with some carny wrestling or something. Then AJ cut his promo on the title match. Then they announced that next week, not only is there a women's title match, but there's also a US title match between Corbin and Sin Cara. And then Jinder and AJ, which was pretty good. If you want all the stats from this, with AJ's giant... I mean, part of me thought the win wasn't coming because we had the title change the night before on Raw, but there you go. It's the first time that the WWE title has changed hands outside of North America. Which, I mean, let's have a look. Technically, the first champ was crowned in Rio de Janeiro, and obviously the Antonio Inoki stuff never happened back in the 80s. Scrolling through, I'm guessing it's true. All I remember is that it started in Rio de Janeiro, but I guess that doesn't count because it never changed hands because it was crowning the inaugural, champ and whatever. Also, though, interestingly, it's the first time that a title's changed hands on SmackDown, the actual show, since Lesnar beating Angle in that 60-minute Iron Man match. It was taped on the Tuesday but didn't air till the Thursday. Because it's changed hands on Raw and whatever, but that's because it's obviously been on there more often, and yeah. It's surprising, but sort of makes sense. And it was a very good match. The best bit was the crowd, though, of course, chanting, "You're on steroids and you can't wrestle." You know, and who knows what the situation is as to why they've had a change of heart. Personally, I think it's because AJ and Brock could have a much better high-quality match. Personally. And also the whole Jinder Mahal versus Kevin and Sami situation. Who knows, you know, that was the match for India. That seems hard to do now when you're trying to book a heel, and I mean, obviously you won't be a heel there, Jinder. But I don't know. I just don't know. And then moving on to there, we had the UK division sort of take over 205 Live, basically because they never sent over the cruiserweights, so they just went, "Oh, we'll put the UK people involved instead." That happened to be under 205. So Kalisto beat Jack Gallagher. Gallagher had to cut a heel promo on Manchester. But the thing is, most of them cheered anyway, because it's like, we know you're a heel, but you're from here, so screw it. So there was that weird bit with Mandrews and Jordan Devlin, James Drake, and Tyler Bate in the ring, and the promo stuff and everything, so not worth mentioning that. Then we had Cedric and Mandrews versus James Drake and Joseph Connors, which was pretty good. And to be honest, you could see Mandrews had his Impact experience help him out, because he was the one that felt like he belonged in this division, certainly because of the style of his wrestling. Devlin, Drake, and Connors, not so much. I think Devlin wrestled a dark match, from what I remember. I know Mustache Mountain were on a dark match on the Raw tapings, which I don't think is going to be broadcast, but there was some good stuff there. But yeah, Mandrews is looking... He's looking like, if they wanted to pull the trigger, it'd be worth doing so. And then Enzo and Tyler Bate was, I mean, not too bad, but not that good either, because Enzo, you know, Bate was really good, but Enzo dragged it down. You can see that he really isn't that good a singles wrestler. As a tag team, and because of his voice and everything, you can play off a lot more than you can. But, yeah. He don't look perfect, if you will. The one thing to come out from this, though, is that Pete Dunne is defending the British title. However, in an interesting twist, it's actually against Johnny Gargano. Which to me seems a bit odd, that's what's occurring, because I thought it was like, okay, it's a British title, so surely British people should be challenging and whatever. So yeah, I don't know. I just don't know. In terms of other stuff that came out, there were some worries about Sin Cara. Apparently, somebody got a still shot from one of the house shows where basically Baron trod on his leg pretty aggressively when he was trying to do a over-the-top rope sort of spot. So hopefully that's all right. I mean, we'll find out by next week and whatever. All in all, a pretty solid and, for once, eventful and important UK set of shows. Throughout a lot of the stuff that happened this weekend, quite a lot of the UK fans were sort of, I'd say, begging and pleading, but certainly wanting a pay-per-view over here because of the way they work with the network and everything. Obviously, they wouldn't be able to do it live as in American time, because I don't think they'd have many people showing up at 1 in the morning. Probably not. But certainly with the fact that it's on the network exclusively, you could certainly try and set it up so that there would be something they could do. But we'll see. The thing is, because I don't know whether Vince was actually at the stuff or whether it was Triple H that was running the tapings. Because if it was Triple H and seeing the reception to certainly the title changes and everything, perhaps that was sort of a test of the waters to basically go, they seem to be receptive to our stuff. It is worth noting that both Raw and SmackDown were legit sellouts. There wasn't any papering of the crowd or, tarping off seats or anything. The place was full for both nights of Raw and SmackDown. 205 Live, who knows, they might have buggered off by then. But, yeah. Interesting things afoot. The next ones, I don't know whether we have the dates yet, whether they've dropped them. Oh, there we go. WWE UK tour dates revealed. So, I guess there was a flyer handed out. So, tickets go on sale on Wednesday the 22nd of November. Apparently, it was in the program for Monday Night Raw, so I'm guessing these are no, it's going to be Raw again, like it was this time. Or at least one bit of it is. So seems to be a show in Bournemouth on the 9th. Then the Raw and SmackDown tapings will be at London at the O2, as they normally are for the spring-summer one. Although, interestingly, as late, it's later than it's previously been, being like 14th and 15th of May, so mid-May. Also on Tuesday, though, they're doing Birmingham at the Genting Arena, which I know as the NEC Arena, which is interesting because the show that they did this week was at the NIA Arena, which is actually in the centre. So they are serving both arenas, which is at least nice, I'd say, because that technically means I'll be able to get to it easier on the train. Then again, it's a house show, but then again, perhaps if the Genting Arena gets... if Birmingham manages to get shows for Raw and SmackDown at some point, I'm sort of tempted to go. It would be That's the sort of the last one on the bucket list. I've been to Shikara shows and whatever in the UK, and I've been to a big one. I wouldn't mind going to WWE one, but to be honest, it needs the right card and the right people. So WWE, the Genting one seems interesting because it sort of is in or around my birthday. Oh, by the way, they're also doing shows on the Wednesday, the 16th of May in Liverpool, Thursday the 17th in Newcastle, and Friday the 18th in Sheffield. So no Manchester at all. So I don't know. It's promising. That's all I'll say. So yes, there you go. WWE done. I want to do a news video at some point within the next few weeks before we get back into the grind of the podcasts, because this Impact stuff, I mean, when you hear reports that the roof is leaking, there are no toilets, they're having to use porta potties, people are being paid to be there and be stupid fans that will get on TV more if they go and shout louder. Some people in the crowd asking to sort of help out in terms of ring crew stuff. As if it didn't look like it was in trouble enough. All this happens within the 3 days, well, 2 days so far, of the TV tapings. A little bit concerning to me. Little bit concerning. The other bit as well, even the people that were paid there and not paid there, some of them left because they didn't want to be there for 4 hours. I've got to cover that stuff in probably more detail. We got the New Japan Power Struggle stuff, the stuff that I didn't mention in the last one with Jericho and all that. Plus all the MMA stuff that I needed to cover. There'll be some sort of videos. There'll probably be an indie one sort of catching up on results from the past few weeks rather than this weekend stuff. So then that'll roll into next week, hopefully. There should be some Oscar predictions videos up by the end of the week as well. Probably because we're actually doing it live on Thursday. Or did it live on Thursday if you're watching this before it. At least I think that's the plan, because I need to get off making my alterations to my picks for that. Gaming stuff, possibly. While I'm still in sort of wrestling mode, the gaming stuff is becoming somewhat sporadic. There was the Paris Games Week stuff, and there'll probably be some stuff, because arguably the last big release of the holiday season is Star Wars Battlefront 2, which is out in a week. So either way, oh, sorry, I was losing track of the time. Either way, there you go. That's all from me for this time. Until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all I've got to say about that. Okay, Kevin.